Hey everyone, it's me. Welcome to a new video. Today I want to talk about depth of field. What is it? How does it work? Why should you care? And I'll show you some examples of how it can be used creatively in wildlife, portrait, landscape, and street photography. Okay, let's start with an explanation. You have a shallow depth of field when only a thin slice of the image is in focus. A deep depth of field means a larger chunk of the image is in focus. In other words, it's a way of describing how much of your photo is sharp from front to back. In this photo of a harbor seal, for example, the area in focus is quite shallow, just the eye is sharp, but the nose and the mouth are blurred. In this photo of a snowy owl, almost everything is in focus. The background is blurred, yes, but the eye, the feathers, the beak, the feet, everything is sharp. So a shallow depth of field is often used to separate the subject from the background. This is called bokeh, by the way, and is created by having a large aperture. In this photo of a pair of boots, I decided to shoot it at a much closer distance than I normally would. By doing so, I had to use a much wider aperture to keep the subject in focus. And this created a really cool effect, with the laces being in focus, but the background being completely blurred out. A deep depth of field is often desired in landscape photography, because you want everything from the foreground to the background to be in focus. That's where a smaller aperture comes into play, like f11 or f1.6. These smaller apertures create a smaller depth of field, allowing more of the scene to be in focus. Here's another example of a shallow depth of field used creatively in street photography. By having the background blurred, it helps to direct your attention to the main subject, the person walking in the middle of the frame. The same goes for this portrait of a musician. By blurring out the background, the focus becomes the main subject, the musician playing his guitar. And here's one last example of a super shallow depth of field. So remember, a shallow depth of field is a thin slice of your image that's in focus. A small aperture like f11 or f16 lets in less light but creates a deeper depth of field. A larger aperture like f2.8 or f4 lets in more light but creates a shallower depth of field. I hope you enjoyed this quick introduction to depth of field. As always, thanks for watching, and I hope you got value from this video. If you did, please give it a like. It really helps me out. And consider subscribing.